Matthew here from miniwargaming.com, bringing you another Beat Matt Bat Rep. If this is the first time you've ever watched a Beat Matt Bat Rep, let me explain quickly how it works. First off, people can go to the Mini Wargaming forums and challenge me to a game of 40k, fantasy, War Machine, or whatever else we happen to play. If they... What?
Tiddlywinks?
No, not Tiddlywinks. If they win, they get this. A $25 gift certificate, or $25 in points, to the online Mini Wargaming store. This is the second rematch that we've ever done. Our very first Beat Matt Bat Rep was Andrew with his Deathwing army. And unfortunately he lost, and so he's decided that he wants a rematch to see if he can win. So we're going to be playing a mass of 2,500 points. This is an Ard Boys list that he's testing out. So I get to bring in a lot of extra stuff, so that's a lot of fun. It also means it's going to be a bigger game with a lot more death and carnage. And we're just going to be playing Annihilation with kill points. And we'll go over some of the special rules in the rest of this video. So let's just jump into it. Let's take a look at the armies and also the table.
Let's first take a look at Andrew's Deathwing army. Now, just one thing I want to point out really quick. In our first game, I failed to mention that he had Belial with him. There was a few comments saying that he's not allowed to bring the Terminators as troop choices unless you have Belial, and he did have them. I believe I had said there was an independent character. I didn't know who it was, but this guy right here, that's Belial. So all the Terminators are troop choices with Deathwing. He's also bringing Samuel. I think that's the master of the Ravenwing or something like that. He's basically a hero on a jet bike. And then his main force consists of 4 Terminator squads. The first one is the Command Squad, which also counts as a troop choice. It's got an Apothecary, it's got a Standard Bearer, it's got the Cyclone Missile Launcher, and Thunder Hammers, and all sorts of fun stuff. The rest of the guys, they all have a variety of weapons, from Flamers to Plasma Cannons to Cyclone Missile Launchers, all sorts of fun stuff. In his Elite section, he has 3 Dreadnoughts. This one has a Twin-Link Glass Cannon, and a Flamer and a close combat weapon. This one has a Twin-Link Glass Cannon and a Missile Launcher, and a Twin-Link Glass Cannon, a Storm Bolter, and a close combat weapon. And then his heavy support, he's got 2 Vindicators with their standard weapons and Storm Bolters, and a Predator with a Twin-Link Glass Cannon and 2 heavy bolters. And he's got 3 land speeders. These are going to be 3 individual fast attack choices, but because we were doing Annihilation, we wanted to make sure that the kill points were somewhat similar, so we're actually counting all 3 of them as 1 kill point. That's just our own decision, because otherwise he'd have 15 kill points and I only have 12. So we are doing kill points for this. Looking over at my Tyranid army, this is 2,500 points, by the way. That's why there's so many models. You can see there's a nice large swarm. I thought, hey, if I'm going to get a Terminator army, I'm going to go with swarms. And unlike my last game when I said I was going swarms, I'm going true swarms this time. The whole thing's being led by a Hive Tyrant with a heavy venom cannon, slash whip, and bone sword. He's been given Hive Commander, so that gives +1 to reserve rolls and allows 1 group of troops to outflank. So I'm going to have one of my troops, groups of Hormigons outflank. And then the main force is 3 groups of Genestealers. All these have been upgraded with Scything Talons and with Adrenal Glands. So they reroll 1s, and they also get Furious Charge. There's 3 groups of 13 Genestealers there. That's 3 troop choices. The other 3 troop choices are going to be 3 almost full groups of Hormigons, all with Adrenal Glands. I say almost because there's 2 groups of 30, and then 1 group of 29, because I just didn't quite have enough points. So they all have Adrenal Glands, giving them Furious Charge. In our Elite section, we have a group of Young Girl Genestealers, and they are going to be deep striking in through their special rule. And we've got 2 Zoanthropes and a Mycetic Spore. They're going to deep strike down and hopefully take out some of his vehicles. And then further heavy support, we've got 2 Trigon Primes, because they're a really good, solid choice to deliver good firepower, good close combat, and all around a lot of survivability with them. Now, for this game, we're playing Annihilation. I think I have 12 kill points available, and he has 13. We decided to go with something we haven't done on a Beat Matt Bat Rep yet. We're going to do Dawn of War deployment. And that basically means you get to deploy 1 HQ and 2 troop choices. The player who goes first can place anywhere within 2 feet of his side, and then the player that goes second goes anywhere within 2 feet of his side, but has to be at least 18 inches away from the other player. So I actually rolled off and got to go first. We'll see if he's going to steal the initiative. So far, every game where I've actually managed to go first, the other player has managed to steal the initiative. So we'll see what happens with that. The Hive Tyrant's going to be in the middle, and then I have 2 groups of 30 Hormigons just spread out, basically to keep him back on his end. and then everything else will be put in reserves. Normally in Dawn of War, you bring all your stuff on turn 1, but I've declared that everything else will be in reserves. The Gene Stealers and the other group of Hormagaunts are going to outflank, the Trigons will deep strike, the Zoanthropes will deep strike, and the Umgarl Gene Stealers are going to pop up in a piece of area terrain as per their special rules. So now he's going to put his Belial, his HQ, and then 2 troop choices, and he's keeping them back about 5 inches from the side so that there's no way my Hormagaunts could charge him in the first turn. And that's really all he can do, because he wants to make sure that he can shoot and then charge me, because the Furious Charge will wreck the Terminators with all those hits, all hitting that strength 4. It would just be a massacre there. So now we're going to see if Andrew manages to steal the initiative, which happens every time. He rolls, and he only rolls a 1. So I actually get first turn. I don't think this has happened hardly at all in all the Beat Mat Batreps. My turn is actually rather quick. All I'm going to do is run up all my Hormagaunts, which unfortunately did not roll very high for their runs, but it wouldn't have mattered because I would not be able to get to him anyway. When I realize this puts him out in the open, the one on the right side, on my right side, does get a lot of cover from the area terrain, but the one on the left side is left in the open. My strategy here is to just let these guys go after him as ammunition, and then tie him up, and then hopefully all my outflanking will really make a difference. So now he's coming on with everything. He's not putting anything in reserves. There's nothing in transports or anything else. That means I have the full might of his army on turn 1, targeting a very small fraction of my army when there's only 2 troop choices in an HQ. So I'm not expecting the Hormagaunts to survive very well, but hopefully I'll be able to survive just enough that they can have a few left over to run in and do some initial damage against the Terminators to tie them up while everything else outflanks. And of course that's why I gave my Hive Tyrant the Hive Commander ability, because it gives him +1 to his reserves, to reserve rolls, to allow my guys to come in faster than normal, because otherwise reserves, they just sometimes, they're so haphazard, they might come in on turn 4 or even turn 5, which makes your guys really useless. Because sometimes the game's over by the end of turn 5. So you can see all his guys are ready, and they're all going to open fire. He's moving up his 2 groups of Terminators that were already on the board, and then he's going to see if he can manage to kill all the Hormagaunts. The Hive Tyrant is in pretty good cover. It is night fighting rules, so you don't have to roll 2d6, multiply that by 3, I believe it is, to see if you can see what you're targeting. And he's already starting to open fire here. The Vindicators, of course, are going to lay down their large blast template, direct hit with the first one, getting lots of wounds, but I do get cover saves, which I fail a lot of. So his first Vindicator actually did very well, taking out a large group of Hormagaunts. And my Hive Tyrant is way back, so I'm hoping that the night fighting will protect him. Once again, he rolls really well, but then I actually roll well and only lose 1 Hormagaunt. Now, if I was thinking correctly, I would have been pulling them more away from the Terminators so that he would not be able to charge them. But unfortunately, I thought of that a little too late after he was already destroying a lot of my guys. If I had done it right from the beginning, I could have pulled enough away that he would not be able to charge him with his Terminators. So that's a bit of a tactical error there on my side. Because if he didn't charge, then he wouldn't be able to do nearly as much damage. So now he's just firing more of his missile launchers and everything else to my guys, and now his, I think he has 2 missile launchers there because it's a Cyclone missile launcher, I believe it's called. And now all his Storm Bolters from the Terminators managed to take out 4 of the Hormagaunts, because there's no cover on these guys, because they're all out in the open pretty much, to pretty much anybody who wants to fire at them. So they're going to go down very quickly. I'm going to try not to make the same mistake with them, and keep them out of assault range of the other group of Terminators, so that they might be able to survive until turn 2, in which case I can use them to tie up the enemy. Doing a, I think this is a twin-linked plasma cannon or something, and just continuing to fire with all of his guys into the Hormagaunts, doing as much damage as he possibly can. Occasionally getting a cover save. Now we got the Predator firing against them, and he actually rolls really poorly and does no damage, which is quite surprising. And now he's firing another missile launcher, and both of them get a direct hit. The other one scattered, but with the subtraction of the ballistic skill, it basically did not scatter at all. So lots of hits and a few cover saves, so more Hormagaunts are dying from all the combined fire of the Terminators and everything else. Now the 3 Dreadnoughts decide they want to target the Hive Tyrant, but they have to roll a 10 in order to be able to see him, and all 3 of them missed that. So there's 3 Terminators or 3 Dreadnoughts that didn't do anything because they could not see the Hive Tyrant that they wanted to shoot at. So now he's charging in with his Terminators. He's got the group over here with Belial, and then the other, well, this is Samuel now that's charging the other group of Hormagaunts all by himself. So I'm hoping that I'll have an advantage here and be able to overwhelm him with numbers, but we will see. And now all my guys are reacting. Got double charged on the one flank and just Samuel on the other. And so if I can just take a few wounds off of these guys, then I'll be in good shape. So Samuel's going to hit first, even though they're all the same initiative, so any ones that he manages to kill will be able to hit as well. And he does manage to kill 4 of them. Now the 4 that I took off weren't actually within combat range, so we didn't have to worry about keeping track of that. I got to hit him back. Now I have to roll 6s in order to wound him, and only manage a couple of wounds, and he manages to save both of those wounds. So I actually lose combat, I fail my leadership test, and then we roll initiative, and he actually beats my initiative. I roll a 1 and he rolled a 2. So he overran about 15 to 20 Hormagaunts that were left there. So that was a major victory for Samuel over there, being able to wipe out the rest of those Hormagaunts. Really what should have happened is he should have killed a few extra because they should have been fearless, but the Hive Tyrant was too far away. So now I'm hitting his Terminators, and actually managed to kill one of them, the one with the flamethrower, before he hits back. And I'm going to hit the other Terminators. My guys are all initiative 5, and his are initiative 4 or lower, and so I actually get to hit him. But he unfortunately makes all of his armor saves on the other side. So I only managed to kill 1 Terminator with all of that, and obviously he's going to manage to kill more than 1 Hormagaunt. But you know what? They killed a Terminator. That's not quite worth their 200 and something points that they cost. But you know what? They're taking a lot of fire, and we'll see what happens when all the reinforcements do arrive. You can see here the Terminators are not having any trouble chewing through these Hormagaunts, who only have a 6+ save, which gets ignored anyways because all their weapons are power weapons, or thunder hammers, or lightning claws. All of them ignore armor, which of course is detrimental to the health of any unit that decides to get charged by a group of Terminators. So lots of wounds here. There's not very many Hormagaunts left. There's so many Hormagaunts killed that even if my guys stayed there, which they don't, and then he actually overruns the last 2 of them, the one group of Terminators would have consolidated into combat and still would not have actually ended up in combat, which doesn't happen very often. The rules are you have to move 6 inches towards your opponent, and if you still are not within combat range of them, then you're finally out of combat. So that's actually what would have happened there, but it didn't matter because every single Hormagaunt was killed. You can see here all that's left is the Hive Tyrant, so he's hoping that we're going to do some good reserve rolls on turn 2, otherwise he is going to be all alone, taking a lot of fire from all of the Terminators. Luckily he left a couple Terminators in each flank, which he is doing to kind of be a bit of a shield to any charges that'll be coming through. He's hoping to hold the center against whatever may come. So stay tuned for round 2. Go ahead and post a comment below. Who do you think is going to win based off of turn 1? And it'll be interesting then to watch the conclusion of this.
Visit miniwargaming.com to see our videos 1 month early.